We get underway for the JDM Plates Mazda 7 Championship. Cars left, right and centre, and down into Old Hall Corner. Does appear to be a good getaway for the 17 car. Oh, having said that, no,
West.
Yeah, beg your pardon. Dade down to third, so West to the outside line. I'm trying to work out who he was battling with, because that was Collar, wasn't it? So West and Collar were neck and neck, with not a good getaway, therefore, from Dade from pole position. And it is Martin West who leads, making up for the difficulties in the earlier race. Remember, he was leading when he skirted off the track and into the gravel at Druids, so he'll be very, very wary of that. He kind of said to himself, or said to Kieran at the end of that race, it was a silly error. So, and Collar running a little too deep into Shell Oils. I thought that was going to be a lot worse than it turned out to be. Thankfully didn't find the grass, and I think the cambered nature of Shell Oils hairpin helped him in that. But yeah, stonking getaway from the West car, where, bear in mind, he started from 4th position, so from 4th to basic the lead by cascades.
Yeah, it was a cracking getaway from him. He was up alongside Collar into turn 1. And speaking of alongside, here they are again. Collar on the outside this time at the chicane. West should be able to fend that off as long as he doesn't drift too wide. And yes, they've kept positions. Dade very wide, just touched the grass but got away with it. And West using that wider sort of karting line, as you've said earlier. Further down the order, Khan's 8th to 6th on the start, so we'll see if he can repeat the podium heroics of race 1.
The Mazda points then after the Mazda 7 points after race 1, without drop scores, saw Martin West on 363, so a lead of 53 points over an absent this weekend, Craig Land, and Tom Collar third. The distance between those two, 61, but on drop scores brings it slightly closer, but really only West to Land, and Land, as I say, not here at Oulton Park. So Collar having to do a great deal of work, and intriguing to see the arm wrestle out front between both West and Collar. Josh Barrett, watching from home but keeping us in tune with all the points, thinks that as long as West finishes in the top 6 in this race, his points haul cannot be beaten at Mallory Park, so he'll be provisional champion if Martin West finishes in the top 6 in this race. He's side by side with Collar again. The disaster scenario here is if Martin West doesn't finish, of course, or if he goes off the track like he did in the first race and loses a hatful of places. So does he play the longer game here and actually allow Tom Collar through and by and just soak up the points for second? Well, Collar's done him on the straight, and before Island Bend, Collar with the bit between his teeth, because he's got all the time to try and make up in the championship.
Yeah, I think West might have breathed the throttle there to let that happen. You're asking for trouble being side by side so often with another car, and I think with the championship picture in play, maybe the smart decision. It has closed Dade back up to them a little bit, but you fancy the pace Collar had, he should be able to skirt away there, but he's very sideways at the chicane, so the top 3 are all still together.
Bit of a gap between 3rd and 4th positions, and that is Bowen further adrift, though down the inside there, Dade thought about a manoeuvre into Hislops. The suspension pretty tough on these cars, but the front right wheel of Tom Collar's car rocketed up in the air there as he hit the curb. Not Collar, but to West, I should say, in 2nd position. Collar now leading, having had that very good run coming out of Old Hall, and yeah, just the element of maybe West going, do you know what, it's not worth fighting this. I'll still win the championship provisionally by finishing 2nd, and at Druids the 94 car is still in that spot, being wary of the whereabouts of Ben Dade, who was very quick in the earlier race, number 17. And Dade, this clear distance away then from the rest. The previous lap, the rest led by David Bowen in number 25. We'll see what the order is at the end of this, but the top 3 just starting to open out a little bit from one another.
Yeah, you can see the confidence Collar's got. He's very much sharper with the wheel than the 2 following, who are sort of being a bit more careful with the conditions. Collar's really quite aggressive with the wheel, so obviously a driver with the confidence to throw the car around in these conditions. And it's paying off for him. It's not a massive gap by normal racing standards, but a fairly big gap for 7-star cars.
Yeah, because these cars, are kind of built to be good when they're racing with each other, not hugely efficient from an aero point of view, and that's deliberate. I mean, they're fast cars, they don't weigh a great deal, but they are tricky when you've got so little grip beneath you. Ordinarily, we'd be talking about nose to tail, probably 6, 7, 8 cars altogether, but at this point they have stretched out, and maybe the philosophy from the Toyota MR2s is being taken into account here, which was 3 cars just settling for their positions. There's still time yet for this to liven up, and making a bit of a break for 4th position now is the 66 car of Lucas Batt. So Lucas Batt up to 4th place and had got ahead of Bowen on that lap. Certain parts of the circuit starting to look much, much wetter though now. So this is something else for everybody to be incredibly wary of. If the rain starts to hit, and we've seen some of the nasty stuff on our radar here in the commentary box, the yellow and in some cases the orange colours getting very close to Oulton Park. These are not the cars that you want to be in when you're fighting the elements at the best of times. Full open cockpit, and the rainwater, if it lands in your working space, doesn't go anywhere. It just sloshes around in the footwell.
Yeah, it won't be a comfortable time, but the drivers probably won't notice it until they calm down after the flag. Like, while you're driving, that's just what's happening. You see how aggressively Collar throws the car into the corners, but West's now starting to close that gap back up just a touch, and maybe the smoother touch is paying off as these conditions worsen up a little.
Keeping our eyes tuned to this battle then, because there is the possibility of cars leaving the circuit at any point. Very impressed with the views I've got of the crowd that are just at the rise there at Denton's. This day of weather has not dispirited you lot, so thank you for sticking with us and seeing this live motor racing. There's nothing else quite like it, as Collar and West are still locking horns. That time around, Martin West was a bit quicker than the race leader, so the gap at the line was 0.6 of a second. The closer you get, though, yes, that's going to help your aero, but it doesn't help your vantage point to see the road in front of you. And again, relying a lot on muscle memory, as squaring off the corner a bit for both the leaders at Shell Oil's hairpin. So they take the apex initially, then run quite a bit wide, and then there's a second apex now in this rainwater to get the car straightened up earlier and a good ping off the corner.
Yeah, West very leery off the right-hander of the chicane there. He's lost some ground to Collar with that moment, and Dade's dropping back off the pair of them as well. So Collar just have a quick look in the mirror to see if it's worth being defensive at all, but he's very, very aggressive with the wheel there. Obviously comfortable with the initial sort of understeer moment in the car, and collecting it well. So there does a battle for 5th that seems to be forming behind David Bowen, as Khan and Powney are close. Powney perhaps not quite the pace we would have expected to see in an uncrashed and repaired car, but going well. It's a good proving for the car, and as he gets back into it after the accident earlier, we might see some progress from there.
There is another car that you could potentially lump into that scrap as well, which is Martin Shelton in 99. So Bowen, Khan, Powney, Shelton, 4 together and not separated by a great deal. Race lead is still rather close as well. That's not helping Benjamin Dade too much, though. He's seeing the 2 in front of him clear off a little bit with 6 minutes still to go. Once more, plenty of standing water on the start-finish straight, but thankfully not so much on the racing line, with the cars doing a good job in clearing that water, or at least as new rainwater lands, it doesn't stand much of a chance on the racing line before it's swept away again. Over the line goes Khan, and Imran Khan had gained places there on, what did he get? One on Bowen, so Bowen's fallen 2 positions.
Yeah, that's right. We saw that battle shaping up. So Powney's on the move as well. Khan, quite a big gap there back to those 2 already. So we'll see if that's unleashed him for a bit of pace, because to get through that did cost him 3 seconds overall. We got a spinner on the start-finish straight. That's car number 7.
Oh, neatly controlled, mind you, at the end, because with the flick turn and engine stalled, but now fires back into life, and Luke Mason has to do a second standing start, pretty much from his grid position. And has rejoined. Those yellows taken in. But I'm not quite sure how he ended up there because it was well out of Dear Lee. Anyway, car back into the race with a handful of places lost. But yes, Khan is charging. Powney may be struggling with the damaged car from earlier on. Bowen falls a few more places. He started 8th. So that means he had a very good start to the race, made places, but now is back to 7th position. So from a net perspective, he has gained 1. But it was the start was great because it elevated him to 4th position. But now is struggling a little bit with Lucas Batt up to 4th, but he's looking at an 8-second gap now to be back with the race leaders. Khan could yet catch Batt by the end, and we may have a challenge on for 4th and 5th positions. And Imran Khan is bringing Ben Powney with him potentially as well.
Yeah, Dade's just dropping off this pack again. West seems to be a lot quicker just in this sort of final sector of the lap. But Collar seems to be able to pull it out sort of from Cascades onwards for a few lengths. So the ebb and flow of the battle is quite impressive. West's currently got the fastest lap. No, briefly lost it and regained it on the same in the same sentence. But so the top two moving along at a decent click there. Dade just not quite able to live with that pace, but got a good safe margin back to the 4th and 5th place cars.
Yeah, Dade quicker again than he's been all race. Ben Powney with a new PB and Bowen as well. So before the really nasty weather arrives, I just wonder whether we're in a spell where the track is just starting to dry up a little bit, because there are quick laps up and down the order, including from the 2 race leaders. So Collar went quicker briefly, but then 7/10 of a second later, it was an even faster effort from Martin West. 2:12.3, 2:12.1 now, as around the right-hander at Shell Oil's hairpin go the top 2, with Ben Dade more and more of a speck within the rear-view mirrors of these 2 cars, now swinging left, right and left again at Britain chicane.
Yeah, West kept it a bit tidier that time. He'd lost a bit of ground to Collar through that chicane on previous laps, but that sort of stayed equidistant and then we now enter the part of the track where he's been that little bit stronger. Collar a little bit wide on the approach, but that could be a chosen line based on the grip and his previous efforts. West very, very wide, but again, probably by choice, and it's working. That gap that was 7/10 at the start of the lap looks like less now.
I just had my heart in mouth then, because I was remembering the pictures we had of Martin West making his mistake at Druids and running out of road as he pushed a little too hard. But that was when he was the leading car on the road. He had to judge the conditions in the opening lap. And yeah, just overcooked it very, very slightly. But I do think that was a lot more controlled. This time Collar down the box into Lodge corner. 1:42 on the clock, so that is well short of a current lap time. This will be the final lap, therefore, for Tom Collar ahead of Martin West, and they need not be concerned about anybody else at this stage. Clear and gone, but in what order are they going to finish? From Ben Dade in 3rd, and then in 4th position it's Lucas Batt, after he made all the places in the early stages, but it's kind of got to 4th and then got stuck there. I think Imran Khan is far enough away. Well, having said that, Khan maybe a touch closer. Powney's there as well, potentially taking or making a distraction, and there's good dicing a little further down the order as well between 55 Mark Crawford, who has behind him still the car of Ayrton Rogers, and they are nose to tail, were nose to tail, still are nose to tail, heading into Old Hall right now.
How's the battle between Khan's taken quite a lot of time out of Batt on that lap, so that battle could close right up as we approach the flag here. If Martin West was consolidating for championship points, that seems to have he seems to have just thrown that away to be going for it. That's a big slide on the exit there. That's gonna cost him in this last run, I think. But we'll see if he's able to close that back up again with just a few more corners to go in the race.
So is that down to a bit more rainfall on the track, or was that just trying, knowing that the corners are running out, knowing that the seconds are ticking by? We're into just 10 seconds to go now. So confirmation that there will be the run up Clay Hill into Druids Lodge and then the charge to the line. But Tom Collar, a very good exit up the hill underneath the pedestrian bridge and now heading past the trees at Water Tower. Good place to witness the action is on the inside of Druids, with 1 or 2 braving it out there. And now heading down underneath Paul Warwick Bridge for the final time. Collar to West. Going to get tighter, obviously, on the brakes. Is West thinking about it? He's within half a car length of it. But I think that was going to be a dangerous thing to throw one up the inside. The drive out the corner's pretty good, mind you.
Collar's
and West is going to be side by side. And well, West briefly got it, but then it's returned in the favour of Collar. But that's an even tighter margin than we had earlier on for the low cost, wasn't it? Or was that Ma7da? That was low cost finish. 0-1-3 in the favour of Tom Collar from Martin West, and it looks like they're almost still having that discussion heading down the avenue. Third position for Benjamin Dade ahead of Lucas Batt, and then Imran Khan ahead of Ben Powney and the 99 car of Shelton. But the difference between the two cars, 0-1-3 of a second, and Tom Collar gets the judgment, but very briefly they flashed through in the different order, and then it was presumably corrected by TSL, who will be double and triple checking that they've got the right call there. Fastest lap of the race done by West on that final tour, and the rest of them outside the top 10 now completing their action. Well, terrifically entertaining the JDM Plates Mazda 7 Championship has been all day today, with Wells, Lauren, Barnes, Ward, Penston, Smith, they're all crossing the line with 0 point something between them. So that was a tremendous fight as well. It might be for 13th position, but it for them probably felt like for the win. And that is the tightest margin of victory or loss, whichever way you look at it, of the day so far.
Absolutely. I think in drag racing parlance, Collar was pedalling that car up the hill there. He'd gone in narrow just to be a little bit defensive, and wound up fighting for traction all the way up to the finish line.
Confirmation of the gap then, 13 thousandths of a second between Tom Collar and Martin West, with a much bigger gap then back to Ben Dade in third. Lucas Batt, fourth position, number 66, ahead of Imran Khan and Ben Powney, and Martin Shelton, David Bowen, Jack Chapman and Ayrton Rogers completed the top 10 ahead of 55 Mark Crawford, the 69 car of Lee Rogers, Ian Wells and Ross Lorham, and this was the fight for 13th, 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, all together at the line. So Callum Barnes and Lewis Ward will know that they've been in a race. Lewis Penston Smith involved in that scrap as well. Matt Grouks ahead of Luke Mason, Chris Southall and Simon Walker.
Thank you very much, and I can confirm it has got a heck of a lot worse out here. It is absolutely hailing it down. But let me quickly jump in with Tom Collar. Tom, if you want to jump under here with me. It's a bit wet out there.
Just a bit, yeah. I think we got the best of the weather for this. Just started raining on the in-lap. But yeah, happy with that.
Bit of redemption after earlier.
Yeah, definitely. It was. Yeah, earlier wasn't ideal, but I think we all agree as a class it got pretty tricky towards the end. So yeah, to survive that and then that race, well, yeah, that's what it's about.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, it took everything I'd imagine to try and keep it pointing in the correct direction, because there was plenty of people that didn't. But difficult car to drive in this kind of conditions.
It's a bit. I mean, the majority of the race was good actually. There's the right amount of moisture, if that makes sense. The tyres work, so we race hard. Me and Westy were, yeah, it was nip and tuck. And it's like when it goes like this, when it's really heavy, that gets hard work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, congratulations on ending the day like this.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thank you. Let's have a quick chat with Martin West. Martin, you're ducking to here as well. Right. I've been provisionally told that you are the champion for this year.
Oh, very good.
Provisionally.
Provisionally, yeah. No, like I say, I was aware that I didn't need to go too mad in that race, but once you get the crash helmet on, it was too much fun. It was great fun there. Just couldn't quite get him on the last lap. It's just visibility. You just can't see a thing in front. You can't see where he is. You can barely see the rain lights in the rain. So it was just a case of following him around, and I thought, right, we'll have one last go on that last corner. I just couldn't quite get get the traction to get into the line. But great fun. It's been brilliant fun racing with Craig and Tom. Craig was pushing us to start the season, then sort of Tom's come into his own the latter part of the season. They've kept us honest, but it's been we've had some really good races, the three of us. Well, all of us really, sort of thing. Obviously, Ben's pulled his finger out this weekend in the rain, done very, very well. And ran it earlier on, so yeah, it's been good. It's just so cold now. Yeah. You must be perished.
Well, I've been ducked inside not too much, but 13 thousandths of a second it was across the line. So yeah, well, congratulations either way. Provisionally champion.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Right, very, very quickly, we've got to go. But Ben, if I can just quickly jump in as well. Podium again. Second race of the day. That was a tricky one as well.
It was very tricky, yeah. Seriously wet, and obviously the first race I was in P1 the whole race, so I had no spray.
Yeah.
And following these guys with the spray, it was chaos.
Yeah.
And I found a little bit of grip towards the end of the race offline, which I wish I'd done earlier on. But yeah, great, double podium. All my friends and family here, so thank you to all those guys. And yeah, really happy. Oh, and thank you to John Lister also for giving me some coaching, teaching me how to drive this thing.
Awesome, well, congratulations.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers, thank you very much. Now we've got cars on the grid. It is the Classic Stock Hatches and the Mighty Minis.